Hello everyone. Yes, the title is correct. I am selling my K-pop collection, or at least like 90 to 95% of it. I did put a lot of thought into it and I have a lot of very detailed reasons in my little notebook here, but first I want to explain exactly what I'm doing and what this means for my channel, and then I will get into the full reasoning as to why, because I did get together with a friend of mine and do like a huge pros and cons list, because it wasn't necessarily like an easy decision. And that's also sort of why I'm sharing this rather than just never posting again and leaving it at that. It's not that I feel like I need to do some grand I'm leaving thing or anything like that. It's just that I think maybe my reasoning will be helpful for other people that are considering something similar. Whether it convinces you to get rid of everything or to keep everything and that what you're doing is right, you know, it could be helpful either way. Also, side note, look at this bandage. I just have to mention it before we keep going. Where did I get this? Because I went to get a Band-Aid before filming this and this was just in the box. I have no idea where it came from, which means it's probably not safe to use, but I just had to show you because I thought it was so funny that I had to use it. Okay. Anyway, on to business. So I decided that I will be selling basically everything except my IU collection. So I'm keeping all my binders of IU stuff. I'm keeping all my IU albums, everything like that. I'm keeping my one signed 17 album, and I might keep Taeyeon, either just her albums or the albums and the photo cards. I really haven't decided yet. Basically what I'm gonna do is sell everything else, and then after that reevaluate and decide whether I wanna sell her stuff as well or not. As for the channel, that does mean that essentially, for the most part, I won't be posting videos anymore. So there won't be album unboxings, there won't be photo card storing videos, anything like that. I will still post an updated IU collection video pretty soon, maybe in the next month or so. And there's actually a few other videos that I still want to make just for fun, because I want to, that are K-pop related but are not collection related specifically. And I will probably make those just because I do think it's fun to make and edit videos. But the whole, and if IU comes out with something new, like new merch or a new album, I will unbox it. But obviously she doesn't come out with stuff very frequently, so that's not going to be very often. I'll just do it because it's fun and I want to. So that is my plan. And now I want to go over how I made that decision. So here's my pros and cons list. Here's a little preview, but I'll put it up. I'll put text on the screen so you don't have to try and read my terrible handwriting. This is just for a visual aid for myself so I can read from it. So basically I got together with my best friend on a video call and was like, I need your help. And she's someone who's not into K-pop at all, doesn't listen to the music, doesn't collect anything, but she does make my thumbnails and she's aware. I talk to her about it all the time. We decided that the best way to do it would be to make two pros and cons list. A pros and cons list for maintaining the collection. So maintaining is basically continuing as I have been. So that doesn't mean my collection will grow and grow forever, because the current status quo is that I buy things and then downsize and then buy things and then downsize like that. It just means maintaining that, you know, wax and wane kind of status. And then the other pros and cons list was for purging. So again, that's not necessarily getting rid of every single item. In the end, like I said, I decided to at least keep IU stuff, but it does mean getting rid of as much as possible and then not buying things moving forward. And before I get started, you know, all of these pros and cons lists or all the items on these lists are entirely personal to me. Something that is a pro for me might actually be a con for you, you know, or vice versa. I'm not saying these are universally true for everybody. I wasn't trying to make a decision for everybody. I was trying to make a decision for myself. So I just wanted to say that and get it out of the way up top, because I'm not going to put a disclaimer next to every single item when I say it, you know? It's a waste of time. Oh, and ignore the scribbled out stuff. This was me originally. I was going to make my final collection videos and stuff before this video. And then I just decided I didn't want to. So it's crossed out. This is no longer the plan. Oh wait, one last thing before I start. So to provide context for the pros and cons list, I did do an inventory of my collection beforehand. so that like I could bring that knowledge to my discussion with my friend. And I found that leaving out IU stuff, I had 99 albums and 1,205 photo cards stored in 8 A5 binders and 4 A4 binders. So, for Maintain, the pros. First is that it's easier. Selling stuff is a lot of work, you know? I have to take a million photos, like front and back of all these photo cards, and then I have to correspond with people on Instagram or on eBay, because sometimes people have questions on eBay, and I've got to take videos of the cards for Instagram, and I've got to talk back and forth with people. It's gonna take like months, like literally months of like going back and forth, because I can't post everything at once, because I can't field all these questions and like purchase requests at the same time, you know? It's gonna be like a very long process. And if I kept my collection, I wouldn't have to do that. The next pro is that trading is fun. I really like trading with people. I've had nothing but good experiences trading. I've never been scammed on a trade, as far as I can tell at least. I like packaging trades. It's like making a little gift for someone. I like getting things in the mail, you know? It's like getting a surprise, except I know it's coming, but it still feels fun, you know? So yeah, I like trading. And then fun in general, you know? I like flipping through my albums. You know, if I have them because I like them, and I like using them and looking at the photo books, and I like rearranging my collection. I think that's really fun as well. It's just fun. I didn't get into this because I don't enjoy it, right? I do enjoy it. Next, community. You know, prior to this, I've been into K-pop for, I think probably like 6 or 7 years before I ever started like building up a collection and talking to other people about my collection. So like prior to that, I didn't really talk to people about K-pop online. It was just a music that I liked, and then I didn't really talk to anybody else that liked it, and that was kind of a shame, because I always had things to say, and I always wanted to hear what other people thought, and I never really could, because I'm not on like Twitter or anything like that. And through, you know, this whole trading and selling and posting YouTube videos, I have found some sort of community where like I get really great, interesting comments on my videos from like people that have like really interesting opinions, and some of the same people comment on my videos like every time or like many times, and that's so cool, and I love that, and that's by far been the best thing about this whole thing, right? And the next YouTube content, you know, as I was making this decision, I was like, what does this mean for my YouTube channel? If I don't have a collection and I have a collection YouTube channel, then what does the channel do, or where does it go? So maintaining the collection would mean I would have content and could continue the channel, which I do like doing. For the cons, so the first con of maintaining my collection is that it does depreciate in value, at least like outside of Asia, you know. K-pop is like definitely a trend lately, but it's not going to last forever. No trendy music genre ever lasts forever. So these aren't things that are gonna like be worth more as time goes on. As time goes on, at least in America where I live, and among like the English-speaking community, which is the community that I can communicate with and can like, you know, buy and sell things with, that's gonna like shrink and become less and less. I'm not saying like very soon. I'm just saying eventually, you know, even if it's like 10 years from now, it is a thing that will happen. And the less people there are that want to purchase it, the less value these items are gonna have. And so at some point, like I won't be able to sell them. And if I don't want to keep them anymore, then I'll just have to throw them away. And that's a real shame, you know? Like I would always rather, it's not about making a profit, because selling my collection, I absolutely won't be making a profit, first of all. I will not. It's a shame to like not be able to give it to someone that would get some joy from it, compared to like if it was just sitting in my binders and I like wasn't really getting joy from it anymore, but like I didn't want to sell it because I felt some sort of sentimental attachment that I couldn't let go of, you know? Next con, spending money. Maintaining a collection would mean like buying new things all the time. If I have a complete like 17 collection up to now, just the way my personality is, I'm not gonna, I would feel like I have to keep going. Like it would feel crazy to me to complete my collection up to Sector 17 and then never do anything else. It would feel wrong to me. Like just the way I think. I either want to get rid of it or keep it and keep going, you know? But if I do that, I will be spending more money over and over. Next, spending time. I spend a lot of time on this. I'm, filming videos. I'm looking for cards online. I'm rearranging things in my binder. I'm editing videos. I'm taking thumbnail photos. I'm doing research. It takes up like a decent amount of my time every week, just like maintaining this collection and like keeping up with what's new, and then also preparing content for the YouTube channel. And then last for the cons, mental burden. So this goes along with the previous one, spending time. It's just another thing I have to think about, I have to be thinking about, like, I'm a person that like struggles to keep track of things, especially things that are happening regularly. And with K-pop, it's always gonna be in the back of my mind, like, oh, like there's a comeback next week, so I need to prepare for it, or I need to set up my binder for it. I need to think about when I'm gonna film the video for it. I need to think, it's just another thing I have to plan for and think about. And that's just part of it. I mean, that's part of any hobby that you participate in regularly. There is going to be some mental burden in the sense that it will be on your mind regularly. And for me, since I'm someone that struggles to keep track of things and like keep up with things, any extra thing makes my life more difficult. Sometimes the positives outweigh the negatives and it's worth it, but it is a thing that it makes it more difficult. So those are my pros and cons for maintaining. As you can see, it's like pretty even, right? So that wasn't especially informative for me. But the thing that made me make my decision really definitively was the pros and cons list for the purge side. And some of these items are kind of the same as the other lists naturally, but some of them are different. I'm going to start with the cons on this one instead of the pros because there's so much less of them, which again is a big part of why this decision got made. My first con, albums are cute. I like them. I like having albums. I like flipping through the photo books. I think the design of them is really gorgeous a lot of the time. That's why I buy certain albums. I've never been a person that collects albums to complete a collection. It's because I like that specific album's design and like photo shoots and stuff. And I love seeing like how the creators like artistically interpreted stuff, I think it's really fun. And so I won't have those anymore if I get rid of them. This one, I'm just being like 100% honest with you because again, I was trying to make this decision for myself and list out absolutely everything that I thought would truly influence my thinking. And the next con is less compliments. That probably sounds shitty, but I don't know, call me crazy, but I like getting compliments. I'm human, and people are so nice in my comments. I don't think I've ever gotten a hate comment, not that I can think of. I don't think I'm like big enough to get hate comments. So I've only ever gotten like really nice comments about my collection, people saying that they like watching my videos, that it feels like it's on a FaceTime call with me. Obviously, I loved all of that. Like, that feels so nice to hear, especially when you like spent time making a video for people, to like hear back that people like it and like watching it and like hearing your opinions. That's nice. Like, everybody likes to hear that other people care about their opinions. And that will all go away. And realistically, that is a con of not making YouTube videos anymore. I don't know if that sounds like, conceited or like weird to bring up, but I think it's true. I think it's a fact. And it's not even necessarily an ego thing. It's like, it's nice to hear that other people care, And that is kind of related to the next con, which is just sad. It's sad, This has been so fun. I've really enjoyed it. And it's been a fun era of my life. I mean, it's been like years now. And as with anything in life, when you have like an era or a season, even if you're ready to let it go, it's still sad to experience it or sad to watch it happen. So no matter what, if I'm deciding to get rid of things, even if I know that it's right and better in the long run, I will still be sad about it. And there's just no getting around that. Okay, now we're getting into the real, most crucial part of the decision. Like what made my friend and I both agree that like, it's sad, but it's the right thing to do. The pros of the purge side, which as you can see is longer. I mean, this is like kind of part of it, but it's longer already than all these other ones. So the first pro, make money. And then in parentheses, thousands. that probably sounds crazy, but as you saw a second ago, I have almost 100 albums and over 1,000 photo cards, even assuming that like every photo card is like on average worth $2. That's already $2,000. And obviously like packaging costs come out of that, and like sometimes if there's tracked shipping, like shipping costs might come out of that because I normally don't charge for shipping in the US. But the average photo card value is more than $2. So like it doesn't matter. Like it will be a lot of money, even if I can't find a buyer for everything. Like at some point, if I can't find buyers for things, I'll probably just give it away to like get it out of my collection or out of my hands and into someone else's. But that is a pro, like we always need money. I could use that for other things. I could use it for trips. And related to that, save money. Obviously, on the maintain side, I'll be spending money regularly to keep up this collection and continue like it at the status quo that it is at. And if I'm not buying Kpop stuff regularly, then I will be saving that money instead. And that's always a good thing. The next one is more free time. I'm actually going to come back to this one, and that's what like this whole portion of the list is. More free time. There's a lot with that, but I'll come back to that at the end, because honestly, that one, if I had to choose any item on any of these lists that made the decision, it was that one, but I'll explain in a second. Next, shelf space. My apartment's kind of small. It's like a 1-bedroom apartment. I have a lot of books. In fact, I love to read, and I have more books than I have shelf space for currently. Actually, I have repurposed an old shoe rack to use as an extra bookshelf, and I have books in a closet, in shelves in a closet, because I don't have enough shelves. But if I didn't have all my Kpop albums, then I could put books on those shelves. So that would be a benefit to me, and that would solve a problem that I currently have. Next, lessen mental burden. As I said, I thought it was worth it putting it in both of these because, I do have ADHD, I mentioned this before, but like it is a real struggle for me to like keep up with and maintain regular habits, even if it's just like cleaning my apartment or doing my skincare every night or remembering things to do at work or remembering appointments, remembering to go to the pharmacy. All that stuff is like really difficult for me and requires like a lot of work and effort. And anything that increases my mental burden, I really have to seriously consider whether it's worth that mental burden. So lessening mental burden is a big pro for purging. Next, it's a good time for it. Kpop is very popular now. After the pandemic, it has like totally exploded in America or internationally in general. And there are more people than ever that would love to have these items, and that would take them off my hands and would enjoy them maybe more than I am right now. Certainly now is going to be the best possible time compared to later. Like there was always the option of maintaining for the next few years or maintaining for a while and then deciding to get rid of stuff later. But if I do that, I would probably contend that it would be a worse time for selling than right now, when it feels like it's more popular than it's ever been, if that makes sense. The next one, this one is kind of difficult to talk about maybe, but I put less rage, parentheses, less online. So, how do I talk about this? So, I said previously in this video that I have for the most part really enjoyed my interactions in the Kpop community. And that's true for people that I've had personal contact with. So what I mean by that is either people that I've traded with or sold with, or like met in person even for Kpop stuff, have all been the nicest, most lovely people. And they've been great interactions. And all the comments on my videos have been nothing but amazing and positive. And I've loved all of it. However, most of my interactions outside these sort of like limited spaces that I can like control to some degree have not been positive at all. They've not been positive. And it does upset me. And I say this even as someone that's like not on Twitter. I really only talk about Kpop to like people on Reddit mainly, which is supposed to be like more reasonable than Twitter. And I do think it is to some degree. However, it is still very much the case in K-pop that criticism has a limit. You can only criticize something so much before people get very mad at you. And the amount you can criticize is very little or not at all, in my experience. The thing that I've encountered a lot is that if you say absolutely anything negative about a song, a group, you get pushback, you get people that are mad at you, and the excuse that they always give for getting mad at you is that a lot of people criticize, but what they're really doing is hating, and they're pretending that it's criticism. Or they'll say, oh, well, it sounds like something that an auntie would say, so that's why I got mad. I have something to explain, which is that if someone is truly an auntie, like hates a group or an idol to death and will hate them for anything, they will say absolutely anything to criticize them. So they will say ridiculous things like, that idol thinks that the earth is flat. Stuff that is just blatantly not true. And they will say stuff that is true. Like, that idol is worse at singing than everyone else in their group. And that might even be true. But the point is, they will use absolutely anything on any spectrum of truth to talk shit, because all they want to do is talk shit. So if you go by that standard, that sounds like something an auntie would say. Literally anything would fall into that category. The only thing that you can do to not sound like an auntie is to not say anything that isn't positive. And to just give an example of like what I'm talking about here, I'm not talking in the hypothetical. Once I made a post on Reddit that was about like a general phenomenon in K-pop, like universal to like all groups and fandoms, in my opinion. Like, I feel like I see it in everything. I didn't even like name groups, and I got over 100 comments from BTS fans. This isn't me calling out BTS fans specifically, but just in this specific instance, that's who it was, and I'm not gonna lie about what happened, right? I got over 100 comments from BTS fans who all were convinced that I was secretly like subtweeting BTS. Like, I was lying when I said that it wasn't about anyone in particular, and that I was like secretly trying to talk about them, but I didn't want to admit it. And 100 replies, that's not like a lot on Twitter probably, but that's a lot on Reddit. Over 100 is a lot on Reddit. And I got called a liar multiple times. I got called delusional. I got told that I was excusing like racism and like horrible things like that. I can't stress enough, none of that is related to what I said. It was wild. I was like, wow, I'm like never gonna say what I think ever again. Because it wasn't, the responses weren't even related. It's like they were all replying to a post. They all tried to reply to a different post, and their comments ended up on mine instead. That's how it felt to me, because it was so unrelated to what I said. And that's not the only time something like that has happened. I'm gonna end this because I'm talking about it too much, but I like to analyze the media that I consume. I love to like read a book and like really, really think about it, think about how it worked and how it didn't work, and then talk about it with other people, usually online, because I don't know a lot of people in real life that like these things. And in the sort of things that I like besides K-pop, so mainly like classic literature, horror movies, maybe movies in general to some degree, I've never encountered the hostility that I have encountered in K-pop. I can speak very frankly about what I think worked and did not work in a novel, and will not get the hatred and vitriol in return that I get if I say the same thing about a K-pop album. And it makes me less interested in the genre, because it's not fun to me to consume media and not think about it and not talk about it. In fact, I would say I almost consume it to talk about it and to think about it, you know? I spent too much time on that one because it frustrates me, but it would be a pro to step back from the K-pop world to some degree and just like go back to listening to the music and not thinking about it very much, and being less interested in it. That's a real shame. That's a real shame that it has to be like that. But I do think for me, it would be a pro. Next, probably won't regret it. In my experience, you know, as I kind of have said earlier, my attention span is very low. And when I get rid of things, I tend to forget them almost immediately. I've experienced this like over and over in my life. Like, I experienced this when I moved across the country. I moved like from the Midwest to California, so like very far. And I had to get rid of a lot of stuff because I didn't want to pay to transport it, obviously. You know, I was like recently out of college at the time. I didn't really have the funds to like cart every single thing I've ever owned. And what I learned from that is that even if I feel sentimental about something, even if I feel guilty getting rid of it or feel sad getting rid of it, once I have gotten rid of it, I forget it very quickly. And I forget what it felt like to have it very quickly. So just knowing myself and the fact that I am like that, if I get rid of all this stuff, even if it feels bad in the moment, I just get over it quickly. I just know that I do that. All right, now that we're through the list, I'm gonna go back to more free time because that's the one that decided this entire thing. It like put the final nails in the coffin. I was talking to my friend, and as we were making this list, you know, we had like gotten past it. We had like gotten through a lot of things. And she goes, I want to return to more free time because I want to know realistically, not ideally, but realistically, what you would do with that extra free time. So again, this isn't like, you know, when you think about like, oh, if I had more free time, I would travel the world. I would redo my entire apartment. I would train for a marathon, you know, like not like ideal pie in the sky stuff you think you're going to do, but you're never going to do. She's like, what would you actually do with that time? Because again, I'm spending hours and hours every week on this. What would I do with those hours and hours? So we made an instead list. What would I do instead? First item on the list, read more. I already said I love reading. It's like an enjoyable hobby for me. It's been my number one hobby my entire life, literally as long as I can remember. If I had more time for it, I would definitely do it more. Not because I feel like I have to, but because it's like the thing I like to do with my free time. Number 2, community engagement. Actually, before the pandemic, I used to volunteer with a local organization that I really liked and cared about. And then when the pandemic started, they had to like stop because it's about like working with elderly people. And obviously like, you know, they're at high risk for COVID. So we had to not do the things we were doing. But now that things are opening up again, you know, if I had more time, I'd love to go back and resume volunteering with them. And also there are other really good volunteer organizations that are based in the Bay Area that are related to like causes that I really deeply care about, that I think about like every day. And I'm lucky enough that some of like the biggest national organizations are like centered here. I'd love to like check those out as well if I had the time. Movies. I love watching movies. I really love it. I have a huge list of movies I want to see. I go to the theater pretty regularly, but honestly, I could probably go more because I have an annual pass, so it wouldn't cost me more even to go more. So I could watch more movies. Exercise, in parenthesis, walking. This one is the only one on the list that's like, look, do I want to do it? No. Do I have to do it? Yes. But I've been putting it off because it's like, it's a thing you have to do regularly. And it's like, how do you find the time to do it regularly? If I had more time, maybe I could force myself more. Piano, similarly, piano. Actually, these next two go together, piano and languages. These are things that I really like learning and I like working on, but they are things that you have to work on regularly. It has to be like a habitual part of your life. You can't just like study a language one day a week and really expect to get anywhere. You can't play piano one day a week and expect to progress. And I would like to progress. And if I had more time, I could do that. And I do always wish I had more time for it, you know? And then after we made this list, this is what was like, okay, well, that's it. I have to purge. This side has to win. These things, all the things on this list, actually minus exercise, scratch that one out, pretend that's not there. But besides exercise, all the things on this list are things that I enjoy doing more than working on my Kpop collection, more than working on videos. It's not that I don't like working on my Kpop collection and I don't like working on videos. It's just I genuinely enjoy doing these other things more. And I feel like I spent my time better afterwards. These aren't things that I feel obligated to do or like I should do. But again, ignore exercise. I feel obligated to do that one and I don't want to do it. But besides that one, these are things that like I genuinely love. And for you, the list of like what you would do instead and the things that you genuinely love might be the same, it might be a lot different. It doesn't matter. The point is, I've felt compelled to, I feel like I work on my Kpop collection and my videos more because there is that like time pressure. There's that pressure of like trying to post a video every couple weeks. There's that time pressure of There's always a new comeback that came out. There's new stuff to get or work on for the collection. And with these other things, a lot of the time there isn't time pressure. I can watch a movie anytime I want. I can read a book anytime I want. You know, I can play piano anytime I want. So the thing that has time pressure always takes precedent over the things that don't. But if I would rather do the things that don't have time pressure, I should drop the thing that does so that I can make the time to do these other things. I don't know if that makes sense. It made sense to me. And once I put that on paper and was like, and really thought about it and was like, wow, I feel so much happier and more fulfilled doing these other things, like it was over. So even though, as I said before, I still feel really sad that I have to give up this hobby that I really enjoy, I know that in the long run I will be happier. And I do think that at this point in my life, you know, in my late 20s, I don't really have obligations. You know, I'm not like married, I don't have kids. Now is the right time to like prioritize my own happiness over everything else. So that is everything. That is why I decided to make the decision that I made. The last thing I want to say is that, you know, I do love talking to you guys. If you do still have anything you want to say to me, any questions you want to ask me, of course you can comment on this video, as always, and I'll respond. But feel free to message me on Instagram, and even like going forward in like months, if I like haven't posted a video, message me on either of my Instagrams. I don't care. They're both going to still be open, so it doesn't matter. And I still like K-pop. I still love the music. If you could see my Spotify Wrapped, it was like all K-pop across the board. I don't expect that to change, to be honest, but yeah, I still like the music way too much. Actually, I'll post my Spotify Wrapped on my community page when I post this video. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I mean, let me know what you think of like these pros and cons. If you've ever had similar thoughts, you know, even if you like totally disagree, even if your pros and cons are like opposite of what mine are, even if you had similar thoughts and came to the exact opposite conclusion, I'd love to hear it. I think it's really interesting. And I'd love if like, you know, people in the comments could discuss this kind of thing, because it's complicated. I think it's complicated. And I had a lot of complicated thoughts about it before I sat down with my friend, and like, that's why I had to like lay them all out in this big list like this, because I couldn't sort it out in my head until I did this. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. This isn't the last video you'll see from me. I will post other videos in the future, but just a lot less frequently. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.